Hello to everyone and welcome back to KET Academy. In today's video we are going to be looking at ordinary levels physics paper 1, that's MCQ 2020. Now we'll be looking at the first 10 questions which will make up the first part of the video. Now the base unit of length is, looking at our options, we see that clearly the base unit of length is meters. So normally here we are going to have meters. This is our base unit of length. The next question says, which of the following is a physical quantity? Now when we talk of a physical quantity is simply a quantity which can be seen and measured. Physical quantity can be seen and can be measured. Now let's look at our options. So if we look at the options, we see that the first option says that meters, B 3 seconds, C 100, D joules. We see that our option here is just meters. Obviously we can measure distance because we can see distance and measure it. Like 3 seconds, we cannot actually measure 3 seconds. We cannot measure 100. 100 is an arbitrary number. It's just an imaginary something or a number. We just imagine numbers in mathematics. Joules, you cannot actually measure energy. They are usually approximate. So question 3 says that a body is taken from the equator to the North Pole. What will happen to it? So the first option says that its mass decreases and its weight remains constant. Its mass remains constant, but its weight increases. Its mass increases and its weight remains constant. Its mass and its weight both remain constant. So here our answer here is B. B, the reason being that when a body is taken from the equator, which is the center of the earth, to the pole, which is at the surface of the earth, the weight of the body will increase. This is due to the fact that the acceleration due to gravity at the surface of the earth increases. So you just have to know it like that. For question 4, a ball is thrown downward at 5 meters per second from a roof 10 meters height. Its velocity when it reaches the ground is. So here we just have to collect our data. So when we collect our data, we see that we have been given our initial velocity. Our initial velocity in this case is 5 meters per second, and we have been given our distance here, let's say 10 meters. Now we are looking for velocity. The velocity means we are looking for v. This is actually what we are looking for. Now let me change the color of this. Now since we are looking for the velocity, we are going to look for an equation of motion which relates initial velocity, distance, and the final velocity. We see that the possible one is v squared equals to u squared plus 2as plus 2as. So this is a clear example. Now looking at this, we see that we are looking for our initial velocity, our final velocity. Here is the initial velocity. Here is simply the acceleration due to gravity. In this case we can take g, since we are talking of a ball is dropped downward, and since it's falling downward, therefore that g is positive, and s here is the distance that was given to us. Now to get our v will simply be the square root of u. Our u was 5 squared should be 25, now plus 2 times, so we are going to assume at the ordinary level g is usually 10 meters per second squared, and our s will be 10. So doing that, we will have our velocity to be the square root of 225. So in this case we are going to have plus or minus 15. So if you look at our options, we see that our answer will clearly be C. We see. So that's our answer. Now let's move on to the next question. The next question says that an experiment is carried out to determine the acceleration of free fall by timing the direct fall of a steel ball from an initial velocity of 0 through a given height. The equation for motion that is used to process the data collected in the experiment is. Now let's look at the equation of motion. We have to take note that this is an experiment, and in fact We are going to first of all eliminate our answer. We know that in MCQs, another way of getting your solution is actually by elimination. So obviously, A cannot be the answers. A cannot be the answer or the option because there is no time. They haven't mentioned time in A, and also the final velocity was not mentioned. Now also, C cannot be the option because there is no acceleration there. Remember that we're determining the acceleration due to gravity of a free fall. If the formula does not have A inside, it is obviously wrong. So A does not have S, so it's wrong, and C does not have A, the acceleration due to gravity. So our options are between B and D, but the most correct answer should be B. The reason being that in this experiment, the experiment is determining the acceleration due to gravity. The period of oscillation is usually taken into consideration, and our initial velocity is given from an initial velocity of 0 through a given height. So we have been given also a height, so we're going to use this. So our answer here is B. Then question 6 says that energy is defined as rate of doing work. Rate of doing work is actually power. So in this case, we have power here. This is actually power. Now energy output over energy input. Here we are looking already for the efficiency. No, energy, this is just the inverse of that. So actually energy is the ability to do work. Is the ability to do work. And work is a product of the force. Work here is a product of the force and the distance moved in the direction of the force. So the next question 7, a stone of mass this is moving with the velocity of that. How much kinetic energy does the stone possess? So here, you know that our formula for kinetic energy is given as a half mv squared. Mv squared, we know that kinetic energy is a half mv squared. So this simply means that we are going to have a half here. Our mass was 0.2, which can be written as 1 on 5, and our velocity was 20, so this will be 20 squared. So this will actually be 400. So this 400 divided by 2, which will be 200. 200 divided by 5 will be 40. So it will be 40 joules. So if we look at our solution, you see that the answer is actually D. Now our answer is D. Okay. Now question 8 says that which of the following energy sources are all renewable sources? When you talk of renewable energy sources, these are sources of energy that they don't get finished. We continue to use them over and over again. Now let's look at our options. The first one says that work, wave, animal waste. Now wood, okay, the first one says wood, waves, animal waste. We see that clearly that wood here is non-renewable, so we discard that. Sun, uranium, and tide. So this is the answer. This is possibly the answer. Now geothermal, coal, and wind. We see that coal is a non-renewable energy source. Petrol, flowing water, sun. Petrol here is a non-renewable. So our option at the correct answer should be B. So our answer there is B. Now question 9. A machine has velocity ratio of 9 and needs an effort of 10 to lift a load of 50 newtons. The efficiency of the machine is, so we know that the efficiency of a machine is given as the mechanical advantage all over the velocity ratio. But we know that the mechanical advantage is equal to the load all over the effort. Is load all over the effort. Load all over the effort. So the load here that was given to us was load was 50 divided by the effort 10. So this is going to give us the mechanical advantage will simply be 10. Now Putting in the formula for efficiency, we're going to have 5 all over, please don't forget to multiply by 100 here since we're talking of efficiency. So it will be 5 all over 9 times 100. So that's actually going to be our solution. So we see that if we do the multiplication, our answer is going to be 55.6. So doing that with our calculator, we are going to get 55.6. So that's our solution. Now, the final question: when a trumpet and a guitar are used to play the same musical note, a difference is noticed. This difference is due to. Now let's look at our option, the fundamentals. For the fundamentals, if we're talking of the fundamental frequency, it will simply mean that is the smallest frequency produced by any instrument. Now for the overtone, this overtone is a frequency produced, is a frequency that is just produced above the fundamental frequency or immediately after the fundamental frequency. And now the frequency is simply the number of times an oscillation passes through a fixed point. That's the simplest definition. For a pitch, pitch is usually the intensity of the note. So obviously, the difference is usually due to the overtone, the difference in the overtones. So each instrument has a unique overtone, but they might have the same fundamental frequency, also known as the fundamental frequency, also known as the first harmonic. So you have to put that in mind. Okay guys, that is all about the video. This is actually the part 1 of this video. For those who are interested in the part 2, you can put in the comment section that you are interested and you like the video. That will encourage me to make the others. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to help support the channel. Okay, have a nice day.